Hey guys, it is Arika Misha, and today is episode number 9 of my spiritual journey. And don't forget guys, at the end of the video I will leave the link so you can click on all of my spiritual journey videos so you can get all caught up. And today, you guys can tell by the title, yes, today it's telling my mom that when I told my mom I was pregnant. Yeah, so let's get into it. The scripture that I have today, Leviticus 5th chapter and the 5th verse. And it shall be, when he shall be guilty in one of these things, that he shall confess that he has sinned in that thing. At this time, I'm 20 years old. And if you guys watch my last video, make sure you go watch the last video where I find out I'm pregnant. And today I'm talking about telling my mom that I was pregnant. One of the hardest things I've ever had to do. But I had to. I had no choice. Couldn't hide it. My secret was out. Sneaking around, doing my thing. Caught up with me. And it was something that changed my life. You know, a lot of things happen in our lives that change our lives. This was one of the many things in my life that changed my life. Finding out I was pregnant really changed my life. It really slowed me down and made me say, hey, listen, you out here in these streets, this ain't for you. This not where you belong. You know, everything happens in our lives for a reason. And God was like, you out here in these streets, you don't belong out here. You don't belong out here. Okay, you want to keep doing what you're doing? He's like, okay, I'm just going to leave you alone and let you just hit that brick wall all on your own. And I did, and I hit it hard. Anyway, so let me get to my notes. Let me read what I have written down here. I got home that day. Well, I mean, I know what happened. But like I said, I like to read my notes because I want to make sure I say certain things. Because sometimes I get to talking and I don't say certain things, important things that I want to point out. Anyway, this particular day, I found out, you know, from my last video you guys saw, I found out I was pregnant. So I left my homegirl's house to go home and tell my mom. Now I was supposed to be staying a weekend with her, Friday, Saturday, and going home Sunday morning for church. So, but I decided, of course, here it is Saturday morning, I'm finding I'm pregnant. I'm like, yeah, now I gotta go home. I gotta talk to my mom. I gotta let her know what's going on. I was up in the stay at my homegirl's house all day. I was like, I gotta get this out. It's gonna drive me crazy. And so yeah. So anyway, so I left my homegirl house that Saturday morning around 10, 11 o'clock. It was still morning. And my mom was in the kitchen cooking, so it was like kind of like afternoon. And when I got home, my mom was in the kitchen. I heard her when I was coming through the door. She was in the kitchen cooking. And I was like, I don't want to interrupt while she's cooking, you know, making up excuses not to tell her. So I said, hey, you know, hey mom. She was like, hey. So she was like, you home? I was like, yeah. And because like I said, I was supposed to spend the weekend with my homegirl. And she was like, oh, I was like, yeah, I just wanted to come home. And she was like, okay, you know. So I went in the room, put my bags and stuff up. And I sat there, and I'm telling you, I prayed and I prayed and I prayed to God. Because I said, you know, I was going to go ahead and let her finish cooking, and then I was going to talk to her. Procrastinating. And I remember just like it was yesterday. I remember sitting on my bed just boo-hoo crying. I'm like, God, I said, God, she going to kill me. My mom going to kill me. That's all I kept saying. You know what I mean? Not, you know, I said, she ain't gonna be happy with me. This ain't gonna go good. This ain't gonna go good. I knew, cause you know your parents. Well, you're supposed to know them. But yeah. Anyway, y'all. So I was in there and I was praying and I was like, God, I was crying. I was boo crying like, God, please forgive me, God. I was wrong. Oh, I'm boo-hooing now. Now I'm boo-hooing. But you know, when I was out doing my thing, I wasn't boo-hooing. But now let me tell you something now. I have to keep it 100% with y'all. And y'all know I do. Especially on this spiritual journey. And like I said, I will reveal what God tells me to reveal. Certain things I won't reveal because God ain't told me to share those. Because you know how the internet, social media is. But I will share. Like I said, I am sharing what God wants me to share. And some things I may not be comfortable sharing. But you know what? God said, you got to share it. I need you to share it for the people. To let people know what you went through. And where I brought you from. And let them know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. And just because this happened doesn't mean your life is over. Because there are a lot of people that, you know, that get pregnant and feel like their life is over. Feel like, oh my God, I can't go nowhere. I can't turn nobody. And you know what? There is light. There is light. God is light. So God was just telling me to share this story. But anyway, so I was sitting on my bed and I was boo-hooing. When I tell y'all I was boo-hooing, I mean just raining, crying, raining. I'm like, boo-hooing. I'm like, she gonna kill me. I was like, God, she gonna kill me. I just kept saying that. I was like, oh my gosh, she's gonna be so mad at me, she's gonna be so mad at me. And I just kept saying, God, please forgive me. And then I went into that, wait a minute, let me talk to God. Let me ask God for forgiveness of what I've done. You know, yes, I was concerned about how my mama was gonna feel about it, but I said, wait, God said, wait, you need to be concerned about me. God said, you need to be concerned about talking to me, confessing to me, asking me for forgiveness for what you did was wrong. And I immediately, when God laid that in my spirit, I said, God, I said, please forgive me, God. I'm sorry. I'm so wrong. I said, God, you got to help me get through this. I was like, God, you got to help me I said, God, I can't get through this without you. I know she's going to be upset. I was like, God, please forgive me for the wrong that I've done. I was like, God, I know I'm wrong for what I've been doing. Please forgive me, God. I was out there doing my thing, having my fun. I was like, God, please forgive me. I was just begging God. Begging him. And I said, God, now listen to this now. This is what we do. I said, God, you said if I confess and ask for your forgiveness, you gonna forgive me. That's exactly what I say. I said, well, you said now if I ask you and confess to you and you'll forgive me. And you know, a lot of times we take that and we take it for granted and we take advantage of that. See what I'm saying? And that I did. At that particular moment, I was like, God, you said if I confess in my mouth, I ask for your forgiveness, you'll forgive me. I said, God, please forgive me. I know I was wrong. And so I began to just say, okay, God, be with me. Then I went into that whole God, be with me when I tell my mama, because she ain't going to be happy. Because she crazy. My mama crazy. I said, so just be with me. So I heard her like tired, you know, getting everything done in the kitchen. I heard the pots and pans stop. Y'all know what that means, when the pots and pans stop. So I heard the pots and pans stop. So I kind of looked around and I was like, kind of like leaning towards my door. And she called me. And I was like, oh, shucks. Who is she calling me for? I was going to wait and go, procrastinating. And she called me in the kitchen. And I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, you ready to eat? She said, you want something to eat? And I was like just standing there looking at her like, yes, ma'am. You know, like kind of stuttering, like I didn't want her to fix a plate, to hide a plate, to throw at me plate, like no weapons. And I wasn't talking about the no weapons formed against me. I wasn't talking about that. I just didn't want to give her anything to throw at me. My mama old school, baby. She old school to her blood. I got some of that in me. But anyway, y'all. So I was standing there and I said, yes, ma'am. And she just looked at me and I said, Mom, I said, I need to talk to you. She said, about what? Now, mind you, she done turned her back fixing my plate. And I said, I said, can we go sit to the table and talk? She was like, no, just tell me now. Like, she was just like it was a typical, she's like, no, just tell me now. And I'm like, oh, man, can we just go sit down? Put the plate down, let's go sit down. And she said, no, she said, just tell me now. And I just looked at her. And I just stared at her and she said, what? Like, she was like, what? And I was like, well, can we just go to the table? She's like, no, girl, just tell me now. And I was like, oh, you know, I didn't want to get her all angry. And I said, I did. I looked her straight in the eyes. I did. I looked her straight in the eyes. And I said, and I looked down and I looked back up and I said, Mom, I'm pregnant. And she looked at me and she said, no, you're not. And I said, yes, ma'am, I am. I said, Mom, I'm pregnant. And she said, pregnant from? She said, what you mean? She said, you don't even go nowhere to get pregnant. And it just spiraled like I knew it. She said, you don't even go nowhere. She's like, you don't even go nowhere to get pregnant. How you get pregnant? You don't even go nowhere. You just go to church. You don't even go nowhere to get pregnant. How you get pregnant? And that's when I just spilled everything out. Because she kept saying, how you got pregnant? You don't even go nowhere. You don't even go nowhere to get pregnant. How you got pregnant? She's like, oh, you ain't pregnant. No, you ain't. I said, yes, Mom. She was like, no, you're not. She kept saying, no, you're not. No, you're not. And I just started crying. Because like I can hear in her voice. She was like in denial. She's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And I was like, yes, I am. Yes, I am. And she's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. And I was like, yes. I said, Mom, I took 2 pregnancy tests. I said, I'm pregnant. And she was like, what? She was like, girl, how you did this? How you did this? She's like, what? Where did you do this? Where you did this? She's like, who you pregnant from? I was like, oh. I definitely didn't want to tell her who I was pregnant from. I definitely didn't want to do that. Because for me to tell my mom, me being the church girl that I was pregnant from the pharmaceutical salesman, from the streets. Oh, my mama was not having that. Oh, she definitely wasn't having that one. She'd rather it be somebody from the church. But anyway, I told her, and she was like, hey, she said, don't he be in the streets? And I was like, yes, ma'am. She was like, what you done? How you did this? Where you did this at? And I just began to just tell her that, you know, when I was staying at my homegirl house, I was sneaking around. I just spilled the beans. I told it all. I told it all. I did. I told it all. I told it all. I did. I told it all. And my mom was upset. She was like, she put the plate, she been put the plate down. She put the plate down, and she kept saying, no, you're not, no, you're not. And then she's like, I can't believe you did this. She's like, I can't believe you did this to yourself. She's like, I don't understand. She's like, I don't understand how you could do this. And then I started telling her, I was like, you never let me go nowhere. You never let me do nothing. I said, I'm 20 years old. I graduated from high school. I'm in college. You don't let me go nowhere. I did. I told her. Because you know what? This was my opportunity to tell her how I felt. And I did. I told her how I felt. And I told her how I felt. And she said that she understood. It was like, you know, she didn't really see it from my point of view until I told her. I hear this, I'm pregnant. I'm not saying it was her fault. I'm just saying, like, but she said that she understood from what I was telling her how I felt, how she never let me go nowhere. I'm 20, I graduated from high school. I'm in college, like I'm doing the right thing. And like I'm 20, like, bruh, it's time for you to let me do something. Give me some space, give me some, you know. But we talked, and she said that she understood. She was still upset. She was still upset. She's like, well, you know, you're gonna have to talk to the pastor. You're gonna have to tell the pastor what's going on. And you know the pastor gonna sit you down. See, that's old school. Old school, back in the day when you got pregnant, you weren't married. Oh, baby, they sat you down. They set you down. It wasn't none of this up and still in the quad with the big belly, and you ain't married, and you pregnant, and y'all ain't married. I'm trying to tell you, this old school back in the day when I got pregnant, the church sat you down. You got sat down. Anything you was doing in the church, I was in the choir. I wasn't doing that no more. I was the Sunday school teacher for the youth. I wasn't doing that no more. Oh, baby, back in the day, they did not play that. They did not. I'm just telling you how it was at my church back in the day. I'm just telling you what I experienced. I can only tell you what I experienced and what I went through. I'm not talking about nobody else. I'm not talking about nobody now. No churches now. I'm just telling you what I went through and how my church was and how it was back in the day. It wasn't just my church. It was a lot of churches like that. You was pregnant, you wasn't married. Baby, they ain't have you up there with that. They sat you down. It was humiliating. So, all right, y'all. I've talked enough. This video is long enough. I'm gonna go ahead and y'all see the next episode where I tell my pastor I'm pregnant. I thought telling my mama was hard. Telling the pastor was even harder. Because, you know, he was like that spiritual father, you know. Remember, my earthly father was gone. And, he was like that spiritual father. So it was just like telling my father, you know. Because he had been my pastor forever, you know. So, stay tuned for that, y'all. Me telling my pastor I'm pregnant. Alright, y'all. Alright, guys. This is Arika Misha. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on all my social media at Arika Misha. And don't forget, guys, knowledge is power. Thanks, guys.